Hello, good afternoon. My name is Alan Torres,
I'm Alexis Garza.
And I am Leonardo Cantu.
and we are Firm B, Industry 3.
For our starting business position, we started off with 3 different cars. The family car, which was our Bofo, the luxury was our Butte, and the sport was our Buzzy. We also started off with 2 development centers only, and our market share started off at 14.9%, which we tried to increase throughout the game.
So our initial strategy for the game was to ask ourselves primarily these 3 questions. Where does the company stand? As to that, we had to gather information on the company such as financially, such as the assets, liabilities, and its stockholders' equity. On assets, I refer to such as inventory, what cars are we handling, which we mentioned, our receivables, who owed us our money, who owed us money for the cars that we sold for them. Liabilities are short-term and long-term, such as our creditors or the bonds that we issued, were issued when we acquired the company in the beginning. And stock, how was the stock doing, such as stock price, and how much of retained earnings we had in order to have our earnings and profits account ready to be used for the company. Next, another question that we asked as a group was, where will the company be in the future? As this, we mean as what do we want to achieve at the end of the game, such as we wanted to meet our objectives, and our objectives was to have the highest market share and market position in the industry. We had to predict what could occur in the game, such as the economy could fluctuate whenever. Stock prices could increase or decrease. Anything could have happened at random, because the economy is unexpected. And the last question that we asked ourselves was, who are we going to compete against? On this, the main question was, who has the similar products as we do? Who has a similar sports, luxury, and family car? With this, we would have to think to ourselves, what price are we going to give, or what makes their car different from ours, or what is it similar? We should change it in order to differentiate ourselves from that other car. And the last one, competitive prices, as we said, is that price higher or lower than ours? Can we, if we change prices, this can help us to sell more cars, or it could benefit to the whole company.
For the performance objectives, we had a lot, but the ones we tried to focus on the most were the ones listed here, which were decreased cost of goods sold, increased plant capacity, increased development centers, increased stock price, increasing the market share, increased dealerships, introduce new vehicle models, and of course upgrading all our vehicles.
Of course, once we set our strategy and our objectives in place, we went on and played with the game, right? So as we adjusted, as the game went on, we had to adjust our objectives and adjust to what's happening in our economy and in the industry. So as you can see, how they say, right, numbers never lie. So one of our objectives was to increase our market share, and I believe we did a decent job at increasing our market share. As the game went on, of course, we had a slip off there at the last 2 periods, but I mean, that still doesn't pay. I mean, we had a good market value, and our net income was never negative as the other companies from our industry had. As you can see, our peak 8 and 9, I believe, were our strongest points in the game, and we will continue addressing those points and how we got to such good net income.
Yeah, so as we talked about, so when we played the game, throughout the whole game, we had to have a strategy or an idea of what we were going to do throughout the whole game in order to be where we want to be at the end. So obviously have to meet our customers' demand. If we don't, well, we're obviously not going to sell any of our products. So mostly the benefit to us was that we would always upgrade our vehicles. We upgraded throughout the whole game. Not every period we upgraded all of the cars, but I would say from period 1 through 8 we upgraded each car, and towards at the end we kind of had to not upgrade our cars because we would probably had some left. We would have some cars that were left behind that were not sold from the previous period. So that's why if we would upgrade, those cars would be left off, and we would only sell our upgraded cars. So we would just have to write off our cars, which would affect us. But the good thing about our firm was that we would plan ahead on how many cars to produce in each period, because the benefit to us that we hardly wrote off any cars, because writing off our inventory from the cars that were left over, it would cost us big money, and fortunately for us, that didn't happen to our firm. Another thing that we did was to add facilities, because in the beginning we only started with 2 facilities, and we used that to produce our family and our sports car. But later on, period 2, we added our 3rd facility to produce our luxury car, and at the very end, around period 6, we had to get ahead to produce another facility to produce our AEV car. Again, improvement in technology, this was a huge help to lower our costs in producing our cars, and as well in order to sell them as quick as possible, because improvement in technology would help us in upgrading our cars and
a cheaper cost.
Yeah, in a cheaper cost as well. Again, as I said right now, introduce a new model. We introduced an AEV, an alternative energy vehicle. This we introduced this vehicle because it was one of the high demand cars in the market, and this was a difficult car to sell, because 3 or 4 competitors were started in the same period as us towards the very end, but we were able to manage to sell these cars as well. And lastly, improve our marketing. We did this mostly to our family car. We would increase our costs to advertise and market our cars. We went up 2 positions up, 1 or 2 positions, and we were placed around 3rd or 4th place in our family car throughout the end of the game.
So let's recap on the lessons learned throughout the game, right? As Alan said, upgrading our technology is, of course, it decreases production, and it's in the game. Like, upgrading technology does not necessarily mean you're upgrading your cars, but it did help us upgrade our production costs, meaning that we could sell cars at a cheaper rate to be more competitive with our competitors. Once we upgraded our technology, it made it easier for us to also have more cars, which is why we introduced the Bing, because we already had all 4 facilities being used every other period, including the Bing, which was the last one, and then so we had we had enough facility and our production to upgrade our products, which in this case I believe it was one of the lessons we learned. We have to adjust to the economy and survive with the fittest, right? If you don't adapt, you don't survive. So then we had to upgrade to our demand. Customers want the newest thing out there, right? So we had to keep giving them upgrades and upgrades and upgrades. And I believe our industry B, which was one of the few ones that would always have that upgrade on upgrading their cars. Again, we, as every business owner or any business student knows that they have to be willing to take risks, and I feel like we did take a risk going with the AEV. knowing it was a new market, we didn't really know. The economy showed that there was huge interest on these cars, but we didn't know what the price was. We didn't know much about the car, so we just went in there taking the risk, and it paid off. It helped us. It helped our market share increase, and it helped us be more competitive, not staying behind, so we could compete with the other companies. And again, understanding economy in order to forecast, I did know to Alan in one of the periods that the gas prices were going up, so therefore that's when we decided to go for the EV. So we saw that the gas prices, and we understand the gas prices affect the car production, therefore we went for something more efficient, more energy saving, and we knew that the economy wanted that, and that the customers wanted a car that was fuel efficient. Overall, I feel like we learned a lot, not even in the game, but teamwork. It was tough meeting maybe like once a week. We all have different schedules. So I personally learned a lot of teamwork, giving up family time, not family time in the sense, right, but giving up another study for another class, and just to meet for this class, it was interesting. And then coming up with the decisions, I knew we had a couple of fights here and there, but we did learn a lot from each other, and as a group, I feel, as individuals, and probably, I don't know, I really enjoyed the class. I don't know about how you guys feel about it.
Yeah, I learned a lot throughout the game, especially we were put in a, I guess, in a CEO position on taking really important decisions on what goes on in the company, such as setting the stock prices and issuing the bonds, because those play a really important role in the whole business, which I really learned, especially a whole lot of business decisions that needed to be done, and they were made, but that they were necessary to help for the business. I don't know if you guys want to add something else.
Yeah, I just feel like different opinions led us to the final decision, so it's always good to hear another voice.
Well, thanks a lot for a great semester. It was nice having you.